What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Long time no see. It's definitely been a hot minute since I last posted, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update. And today we're going to be doing a 12,000 mile review on the 2022 Lowrider ST. So we're going to do a little bit of a ride here and just kind of talk through some things. I kind of created a list on some points that I wanted to touch on as I ride. So the temperature is definitely in full swing here in Wisconsin. It's about 90 degrees, or it's going to be a high of like 95 today. So yep, it gets pretty toasty up here too, guys. But yeah, let's go ahead. I'm going to do a cold start here. It's got the stage 2 on the bike, so kind of give you guys a little sound note on that. I don't know how well it'll come through the microphone audio inside my helmet, but we'll go ahead and get that rolling. Nice cold start on the stage 2. Sounds amazing. By far the best upgrade I've made to the bike so far. We'll kind of talk through some different things as we get to riding here. Alright, let's get to it. So yeah, as you guys can see, I've got just over 12,000 miles on the bike. We're at 12,337 miles. So we've definitely broken her in, put some pretty heavy miles on her over the last couple years that I've owned her. So again, this is a 2022 Lowrider ST. You'll notice that it doesn't have the traction control on the right signal here, which you may see. I want to say they started that in 2023, but I know Marvel Kids 2024 definitely has that. Yeah, listen to that stage 2. Yeah, so the stage 2 just came back. It's fully dynoed, all that. So anyway, let's dive into the review a little bit here. So who am I? Why did I buy a Lowrider ST? What is this bike to me? All those sorts of things. So I was a guy who came off of the touring platform. I had an Ultra Limited for a period of time. I stepped down to a Lowrider S. You know, I got a wild hair up my ass to like kind of get into something that was a little bit more peppy, lighter, what have you. So I stepped down to the Lowrider S, and the whole time I owned that Lowrider S, I was basically trying to kid it out to be a bagger again. So ultimately sold the Lowrider S, stepped into a CVO Street Glide, and had heard the rumors about some of the things that were coming down through the pipeline from Harley, and one of them was like an ST version of the Lowrider S. And so I decided on a whim to sell that CVO, which was quote-unquote my dream motorcycle. It was the 2020 in Sand Dune, which is like my favorite color of all time that Harley's done. But we did get rid of it. You know, it's an expensive bike. So lo and behold, yeah, look at this guy. He's way over the fucking line. Come on there, buddy. And he's from Wisconsin too, not Illinois. Surprising. So initial impressions on the bike, you know, it was probably January of 2022 that we had started to hear, well, maybe a little bit before that, that we started to hear rumors from Harley about this bike. And then in January is when they actually had the announcement, the further, faster announcement, I think it was. And that's when they came out with all the ST lineup. So you're getting the 117 motor and, you know, of course this bike, and then they came out with the Lowrider, or I'm sorry, the Street Glide ST and the Road Glide ST as well that year. So the day that announcement was made, I pre-ordered the bike, and it was all of like 2 months before the bike came back and showed up. So back to the initial impressions, I mean, I absolutely loved it. It was exactly what I was looking for in my Lowrider S that I was trying to kind of put together. Came with the bags, came with the fairing. I think the redesign they did on the fairing is absolutely amazing. Really throws back to the old FXRT days. I know some people don't like it, it's just not their thing. That's fine. It did take a little bit to grow on me at some points, but ultimately it's a great fairing and it does its job. So all things considered, I picked up the bike. I pretty much couldn't have been happier at that time. I mean, I was one of the first people in Wisconsin to get delivered this bike. So I had pre-ordered it in January. I was the first one at my dealer to pre-order, and I want to say I received the bike before Harley had even like announced that people would be getting the bikes. Like, I feel like I got it a week or two earlier than when I first expected to receive it. So yeah, it was definitely an awesome experience, and it didn't take long once I bought the bike to kind of start, you know, putting my own personal touches on it and that sort of thing. So initial impressions, love the design. For those of you out there who love the design, you know, that's probably not your primary concern as to whether you're going to buy this bike or not, if you think it's cool or not, or how it looks. But of course you're gonna, you know, come away with a 117, so you're definitely getting a good powertrain in it and that sort of thing. So yeah, I just felt like the bike was the best thing that Harley had put out in a long while, because people had been asking for like a touring capable softail. And of course you've got your Heritage, and you had your I don't really recall what model it was, not the Heritage, but the Sport Glide. You had the Sport Glide at the time, but it just wasn't selling here in the States the way it was in other places. So this bike really put them on the map for sport touring, and it kind of fills that niche. So next thing we're going to talk about is just overall performance of the bike. As one could expect, out of the box, Harleys leave a little bit to be desired. They're not necessarily, I guess it depends on, you know, everything's relative, right? So if you're coming off of a different platform and you've never ridden a Harley before, you might be impressed, you might not be. I mean, they definitely ride a lot different than, like, let's say someone coming off of a sport bike, a Kawasaki, Honda, what have you. But yeah, the 117 getting put in this bike was a big deal, because I know when the Lowrider S had first hit the Softail platform, that was a big thing that people were upset about, that they hadn't put the bigger bore motor in the Lowrider S the same way they had on the Dyna platform, where you would get a 110 out of the box with it. So they bumped it up to the 117. You get the dual front disc brakes in the front, you get the single rear disc brake, and you get the inverted front end, so you've got the inverted forks, and then you've got the 13-inch rear shock, which is an upgrade over the Lowrider S of the previous generation. So I know we're a couple years out, but again, this is a 2022, and prior to 2022 they were putting 12-inch rear shocks in the Lowrider S's, so definitely an upgrade. You get a nice tire gap back there. I would say most people still venture to upgrade their suspension, so you're seeing people doing Legends and Oleans. I don't have anything like that. I've got the stock suspension, and I've never really been discontent with it. Actually, I'm kind of impressed from where I came from, off of my previous CVO that still had like a 12-inch rear shock set on it. So yeah, overall performance, I mean, yeah, if you're coming off of a bagger and you're just running stock, it's such a hard thing to gauge, because most people don't keep their stuff stock, you know. So the 117 is a ripper out of the gate. I want to say the numbers that they're putting down from the factory, or what they claim, is like 125 pound-feet of torque. Real world, I think I've seen people somewhere in between like 110 and 115 at the rear wheel, and putting down anywhere from like high 80s to low 90s of horsepower. Of course, the way to wake your bike up is to do a little bit of performance upgrade. So you're going to do a stage 1, stage 2, you're going to tune it, and it really brings these M8s alive if you do a little bit of engine work to them. So like, I've got the stage 2 in here, and I'm putting down right around 140 pound-feet of torque, which is just absolutely insane. And you know, when I hit that power band on this bike, I mean, I'm gone, you know. So it's kind of a big deal if you're gonna, you know, go that route. So I might come off and start sounding a little bit like a broken record, but we're gonna get into comfort and ergonomics. And the big thing I'll say is, if you're watching YouTubers who have ridden this thing for the first time and they're like, oh my God, it's so comfortable. It's not. You know, straight from the factory, I don't think there's a single bike that the factory makes that just fits just about anyone perfectly. You know, it might fit you in various aspects, but this bike included, like, you're gonna wanna spend the money to upgrade it to kind of fit your riding style, to fit your body type, your body size, that sort of thing. So, big thing I get asked a lot about is like, hey, how tall are you? What's your windshield? Yada, yada, yada. So I'm 6'1". And I mean, you can kind of see maybe from the camera where my windshield hits, but I have zero helmet buffeting right now. And this is a 12-inch Clockworks windshield. A lot of people like question whether this bike is big enough for them. I think you'd be hard pressed to find that it doesn't suit riders over 6 feet. I guess if you're getting like super tall in the 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" range, whatever, higher than that. Yeah, I guess, you know, you want to stretch your legs out a little bit more, but it's really about the riding stance overall. But long story short, ergonomics on this bike can be good. I've got a 10-inch rise here with a 2-inch pullback from SBC Customs. I've got the ODI bar with a 2-inch rise in it as well. I've got the Saddleman step-up seat. All of these things kind of bring the comfort level of the bike upward, and I'd say it's unquestionable that you're going to do some of those things, right? You're gonna want to add those things. Out of the box, can you ride it? Sure. I did that for a very short period of time. I want to say within the first week or two, I had already bought my Saddleman and you know, started putting things on it to increase my comfort level. Same thing with the windshield. Yeah, but out of the box, if you're listening to someone on YouTube who says that the bike is comfortable out of the box, it's just not. Of course, you get a fairing, so like from that perspective, yeah, it's more comfortable than like a Lowrider S because you have wind protection. But I will say, like, the stock windshield that you get on the ST does absolutely dog piss shit nothing. It, like, if I'm riding this bike with the stock windshield, I'm getting hit in the face full bore with all the wind. So it looks cool, but as far as comfort and ergonomics go, it leaves quite a bit to be desired, and that's why you go with something like, you know, a Clockworks windshield that's going to kind of get that air up and over your head, and you're going to kind of add things to and from. So I kept the mid controls. I didn't do forwards or anything like that. I personally like that. Some people don't. That's something to consider, is whether you're going to be okay with mids or not. So just keep that in mind. Sit on the bike, go for a test ride, see if you like sitting in that type of stance or not. Some people have mentioned that they feel like they get cramped with the mid controls. I can't say I feel that way. And again, I've got pretty long legs, I would say, comparatively to most. And alright, so let's dive into some of the features and technology on this bike. If you're coming off a Softail platform, you're getting a little bit of extra. Clearly, I've got the Rockford Fosgate audio system. I'd say that's the one big thing that's maybe an upgrade over your Lowrider S or a standard Softail. In recent years, they've been adding cruise control to, I want to say, most of their Softails. I know the S definitely has it, but if you're coming off of a different Softail, like a Street Bob or something like that, I don't know if those new ones have cruise control or not. But yeah, you do get cruise control with this bike. It's definitely the sport touring aspect of things. And I would say, you know, if I'm speaking out to Harley, just put cruise control on all your bikes, dudes. Like, these bikes are getting well over into the $20,000 range. Like, there's absolutely zero question as to whether you should have cruise control on your bikes. So you definitely get that with this platform. You're getting the regular digital gauge that comes on a lot of the other Softails. You know, the the S before this used to have the analog gauges in the center console. They've raised it up. So Leaves a little bit to be desired, but like it's going to tell you your fuel level, what gear you're in, you know, your mileage, your speed. So it gives you the basics. It gives you enough, right? Big thing with the Rockford Fosgate audio system is that it's not controlled through the bike. So if you're coming off of a touring platform and you're used to like controlling your audio over here on your control stack, you're not going to have that here. It's all controlled through your phone. I clearly have a Rockform mount on my bike here, so it kind of gives me that option to just mess around with stuff with my thumb if needed. But yeah, it's definitely not ideal. I run Spotify through here. I run my audio, my volume, all that using the rockers on the side of the phone. And so it kind of works out, but just know that it's not going to be as intuitive. It's not going to be built into the structure on your motorcycle controls or anything like that. So next thing I'm going to talk about is just real world experience owning this motorcycle. It does everything, you know. It might not have all the flashiness that you find in a bagger or something like that, but it does everything a bagger can do, and in a lot of cases it's better. It has more maneuverability. Definitely gets some more lean in the turns, you know. And I'm speaking out of the box here because of course you can make a bagger do just about anything you want it to do, but if you're looking for that middle of the road, like you don't want to be on the bottom end of a Softail or something like that, and you kind of want some of the touring capability but also have that lighter weight motorcycle, this is that platform. You know, it'll tear your arms off if you let it. You know, some people talk about just owning a bigger bike because it does more. I just don't see that. I would say there's a little bit more vibration in the Softail platform, and that's just a natural thing by the way the motor's mounted. But real world experience, I mean, I ride this thing everywhere. It does everything for me. I've toured on it twice across country. I've been out to Sturgis on it. I've been out to Virginia. I've got another trip coming up next month to Tennessee. And it's tried and true. You know, the one thing you might mention is like, hey, Andrew, I could see that you've got a check engine light on, and I just had some work done to the bike, and there's some voltage with the battery that's bad right now. So like, you're still going to run through the trials and tribulations of just owning a mechanical device of anything. So I've got to put a new battery in this. Probably sooner than later. You know, have some issues with startup and whatnot, but you know, I guess that's par for the course. You know, I guess you could dog on Harley for, you know, or you can dog on me. Long story short is like, if you just want that extra, you know, curve of performance and not necessarily be on a full bagger platform, that's something that you can definitely do with this platform. So overall, pros and cons of this motorcycle. I'd say my biggest con, we'll start there, is that you're getting a 5-gallon fuel tank instead of a 6-gallon. So if you're coming off a touring platform, you're losing a gallon. I'd say it hasn't affected me all that much, just for the sheer fact that when you're doing long distance, as you get further and further into your trip, the shorter and shorter the distances are that you want to ride, because your ass hurts and your body hurts. I mean, it doesn't matter how ergonomically sound your bike is, like you're still going to have some aches and pains if you've been riding for 10, 12 hours. So, you know, by the end of a trip like that, I'm probably doing 100-mile stints and I've still got well over half a tank, you know, before I have to fill up or something like that. But cons, I guess, for some people are like the bags. I've never had an issue with the bags. There's definitely plenty of mods that I've done to this bike to give me more storage space. Some people don't like the fact that the bags are, you know, different sizes, that sort of thing. I think it makes, I guess I understand Harley's design language there and why they did that, but I guess I'm indifferent to it. I don't like it and I don't dislike it. It just is what it is. I've never felt like I didn't have enough storage capacity in them. If you want to do a weekend trip on those bags, you can. Pros, you know, mini bagger. You're getting the mini bagger. You're still going to put a bunch of money into it, most likely, if you're into that sort of thing, where you're going to get, you know, a riser kit and make it ergonomically sound for you. But like, that's across the board with anything you buy. You're going to get the 117 on this, which I know in today's day and age is kind of like, we got the 121 now. And, you know, all the bikes have kind of graduated into the 117 platform, if you will. So that's not necessarily, you know, a point of contention as to whether you should buy one bike or the other. But yeah, I would say just for, you know, the performance aspect of things, like if you're looking to eke out every little shred of performance, this bike will do you just fine. It's pretty much on par as far as like service or any other issues that you would see with other Harley-Davidsons. You know, of course, they're all on the same powertrain. You know, they're on the Milwaukee 8 platform, so any issue you'd find there, you'd find here, or vice versa. But I guess from the last thing in my standpoint is, you know, is the vibration. It's not noticeable if you don't have something directly to compare it to. So and what I mean by that is, like, if you're not coming directly off of a touring platform and then riding this bike, you're not going to notice the vibration significantly because this is your daily rider, so it just is what it is. But if you were to go hop on a road glide and then go hop on one of these, yeah, you're definitely going to notice the difference, especially if you've got performance parts in this, which I do. So there's a little bit of added vibration with that, and that's just the trade-off that you get when you go from, you know, a stock Milwaukee 8 to something like this. And yeah, it's just something to consider. So final thoughts on this bike, 12,000 miles. You know, if you know me, you know that if I'm not looking to get rid of it, that's all I need to say about it. And truth be told, this one's gonna have some longevity in my garage. If I buy another bike, this one isn't going to disappear because I bought that extra bike. You know, this really gives me a lot of room to kind of step into something else that I wouldn't normally, like a Pan America, or you know, if I wanted to have like that full touring experience, then I could have this bike in the garage for like my around town ripper, if you will, and then also have, you know, a touring bike that I only take out, you know, for super long trips. But yeah, all in all, the ST, it's a bomb ass bike. If you like it, if you like the way that it looks, I think it will pretty much fit just about anybody. So if you're a taller guy, don't think that you can't make this bike work for you. Anyways, guys, yeah, we'll just do a quick once around on the bike here. Let's give you my final thoughts. The bike's good. She's ripping. She's ready to go to Tennessee this year. Can't wait for our trip. And yeah, I mean, I've got a plethora of things on here, and I'll do a deep dive on the Stage 2 in one of my upcoming videos, so that you guys can, you know, we can talk more about the pros and cons of that, and what I really like about it versus what, you know, what might be some of the downsides to it. But there are very few. The upsides definitely outshine the downsides by a wide margin. So anyway, that's it for me, guys. Thanks again for tagging along. I hope this was informative for people who are either looking to buy this or just need the affirmation in their life because they already bought one and want someone else to tell them that it was the right decision, because I know we have that FOMO in our lives. So anyway, take care, guys. Thanks again. Take it easy.